Alright, good afternoon everybody. It's your boy Akeem and welcome to today's vlog. Here to continue with all my previews for the 2013 college football season. I haven't seen you guys for the past couple of days, but now I am back to give you my preview of the American Athletic Conference, the AAC. Now this is a new conference in the FBS Division, which features teams from previous conferences, Conference USA team members, as well as the former Big East members. Now this is going to be a new conference headed into the season, so we're going to be very interested to see the performance of these teams and see if they can still get that automatic bid for a BCS bowl matchup. Now there's some bad news for this conference headed into this season. Their powerhouse, the top team I believe in this conference, Louisville, will only be within the AAC for just this season. They're going to actually join the ACC next year, and I think that's going to be a decent conference heading into upcoming years of college football and even for college basketball. I personally believe that ACC conference will be like the SEC of basketball, meaning you know how we all see the SEC is the most dominant conference in football. I think the most dominant conference in basketball will be the ACC because they added Pittsburgh, Syracuse, and then they're going to have Louisville next season to go along with North Carolina and Duke and even teams like Florida State, good competitive teams. This is going to be a great conference for the next couple years of college basketball. Now we all know I don't talk about college basketball, but for you fans out there in college basketball, I just had to spread that out there. That's going to be a good league coming for the next couple years in college basketball. Now, headed into this preview, I need to start giving you guys my impact players for this upcoming season. Starting first with the Big East Player of the Year last season, Teddy Bridgewater out of Louisville. He had over 3,700 yards passing, 27 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, and he had a spectacular sophomore season, ending with a Sugar Bowl victory over the Florida Gators. Another quarterback I need to talk about, Blake Bortles out of UCF, Central Florida. He had a good year last season as well, passed for over 3,000 yards, 24 touchdown passes, and 7 interceptions. I think he's a pretty decent quarterback, and I had to put him as an impact player. He was second in the Conference USA in passing efficiency last season. Another impact player from UConn, Lyle McCombs. Yes, Lyle McCombs. I know he did not rush for over 1,000 yards last season, 860 yards, but his productivity can determine if Connecticut wins and loses their matches, and he's going to be very key for this Connecticut offense. If he has a good game, has a lot of carries in which they can control the time of possession, and if he rushes for over 100 yards, UConn actually has a shot of winning their games, especially when they're big upset last season over Louisville in overtime, 23-20. He actually had Lyle McCombs had 29 carries for over 100 yards rushing, and he was key for that victory, and we're going to see how effective he's going to be this season. If they give the pound to rock the ball, to give him the ball a lot, he would definitely give them opportunities to get first downs, march the ball down the field, and take the time of possession away, keeping the the opposing offenses away from the field. On the defensive side, I have 3 players in particular that I think they're going to be good impact players. 2 players are from Houston, starting with Trevon Stewart, the linebacker / defensive back. He had 126 tackles last season, 10 tackles for loss, and 7 pass breakups. Now, I just mentioned he could play linebacker and defensive back. He's a good, versatile athlete. And teammate Zachary McMillan, he actually led Conference USA last season with 5 interceptions to go along with 51 touchdowns. These 2 players work well together, along with Derek Matthews, who had 126 tackles last season as well, tying up with the team lead with Trevon Stewart. And last but not least, a good impact player from Memphis, Martin Ifedi. I think he's a decent defensive tackle / defensive end. He's going to be used more as a defensive end because he weighs 270 pounds, but he can still make that transition to defensive tackle and different defensive schemes. He's a good, versatile athlete, and I think he could have a good season. He had 7.5 sacks last season in Conference USA play. Now, my breakout players this year, starting with 2 quarterbacks, Munchie Legault from Cincinnati. He's coming off of missing the last 5 games of last season. He had 13 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, and he is a senior this year, so he's looking to end his career with a great senior season. Another senior I think that could be due for a breakout season from Memphis, Jacob Karam, who had just under 1,900 yards passing last season, 14 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions, and he's starting to get the experience more at quarterback. And I think because of that decent junior season, and that was his first time, that was his time where he was had the opportunity to go under center. I think because of that experience, it could lead on to way to this year, and I think he can have a prosperous season as a senior. From UConn, Jeremy Davis, I think he could have a breakout season. He led the team with 608 yards receiving last season and 1 touchdown, and leading the team. And I think that he could do a lot better with Whitmer at quarterback. I think they can have a good chemistry together, and I think he could be due for a good season. At the running back position, I have 2 players in particular in a team of running backs. From Rutgers, my first running back, Savon Huggins. Now, coming out of high school, myself and a lot of people had high hopes for him because he was a good prospect for Rutgers, and I thought he was going to have a good career starting off. But for the past 2 seasons, his sophomore and freshman season, he kind of struggled a little bit. Now, last season, Jawan Jamison led the team in rushing with over 1,000 yards, but he is no longer with the team, so the team's going to depend more on Huggins to step up to the plate and be a dominant running back for this Rutgers team on offense. Another running back I need to talk about, UCF's Storm Johnson. He actually was a Miami transfer from the U. He's a good Miami prospect, but he ended up transferring to Central Florida. A good player, 4.5 yards per carry, splitting carries with Latavius Murray, who's no longer with the team. He is now in the National Football League, but Storm Johnson is still a good product, and I think he can have a good, decent season, so I had to put him as a breakout player this season. Now, for the Louisville Cardinals, they have a good set of running backs, and with Sonaris Perry, he's actually coming back from a knee injury, and they picked up Michael Dyer. Remember this name? He actually was the running back for the Auburn Tigers. He was the BCS 2011 player of the game offensively. He had a great game in that national championship game against the Oregon Ducks and that big victory. And in his sophomore year, he rushed for over 1,000 yards, and I thought he was going to be a good dominant back in college football. But he ended up transferring to Arkansas State and following offensive coordinator Gus Malzahn. Then he got into a little bit of trouble out the field with marijuana and other law issues, and that's why he was missing some action, also due to the transfer to Arkansas State, and he did not play last season. But Coach Charlie Strong believed in him, accepted him at Louisville, and he was have to fight between him and Sonaris Perry for the starting running back position. And I think that this is going to be Michael's job at the end of the year, even though I think Sonaris Perry will get that starting nod for the first games, but I think Michael Dyer will end up earning that starting position, and I think they could still be a good tandem in college football at the running back position. Defensively, I have 2 players in particular. I think they're going to have a big season, starting with UConn, Yamwin Smallwood. He had 120 tackles last season and 4 sacks. Now, due to the fact that C.O. Moe's no longer with the team, along with leading sack leader Tevardo Williams, they're now in the National Football League. So Smallwood's going to have to step up and do everything. And I think if he has a great year, he could be a finalist for the Buckets Award, given to the nation's top linebacker. And last but not least, for the breakout players, I have a good defensive end from Rutgers, Jamil Morrell. He had 5.5 sacks last season, and with all the departures on that defensive side for Rutgers, I think that Morrell's going to have to step it up and be a good vocal leader for that defense. I think he's going to have a good year coming into this season. Now, I have 3 freshmen in particular that are incoming freshmen that are entering in Big East Conference play, starting with Louisville's James Quick. He's a good receiver, and he's going to have I believe he's going to have a good chemistry, 1-2 chemistry between him and Teddy Bridgewater. And plus, he's going to have some good surrounding teammates around him, because 3 of the top 4 leading receivers from last season will be back for this year, so they can help James Quick get more used to the college play and work well as teammates. And I think that James Quick can have a good, decent freshman season. Next player I need to talk about, Nadir Burnwell from Rutgers. He's the cornerback. He's a good defensive player, 4.640. I wish he was just a little bit faster, but I still think he's a good cover corner, and I think that Rutgers is going to use him well to help rebuild that defense, because they did lose 2-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner Kasim Green. He is now with he's actually now with the National Football League, no longer with the team. And last but not least, Eric Mays out of South Florida. He was a 4-star athlete. He's the defensive end. I think he's going to start right away as a true freshman. And over the years, South Florida has produced some decent defensive end, like Jason Pierre-Paul from the New York Giants, as well as 2007 Big East Defensive Player of the Year, Greg Selvey. And I think that Eric Mays can follow their footsteps and have a good, dominant, productive career in college football for South Florida. Now, I have some games. The next thing I need to talk about are the games coming into this season in this AAC play. October 5th, UCF is going to be traveling to Memphis to face the Tigers. This is going to be a Tigers first test, and we're going to see how good that offense from the Knights is, from UCF Knights. October 10th, Rutgers is going to be traveling to Louisville. That's a decent rivalry matchup. They keep things going with good matchup between Rutgers and Louisville. October 18th, UCF is going to be traveling to Louisville to face the Cardinals. That's going to be a good quarterback duel matchup between Teddy Bridgewater from Louisville and UCS Blake Bortles. October 26th, Houston's going to be traveling to Rutgers. That's going to be a good game to watch. You should definitely keep that marked on your calendars. November 8th, Louisville's going to be traveling to UConn. Now, I mentioned earlier, UConn upset Louisville 23-20 in overtime last season, and Louisville's looking to avenge last season's loss. November 9th, Houston's going to be playing against UCF, a good Houston defense against a good UCF offense. That's going to be a great game to watch. November 16th, Houston faces Louisville. I think I just mentioned that one, but Houston faces Louisville. November 23rd, Cincinnati's going to be playing against Houston, so this is going to be a big game for Cincinnati. And on December 5th, Louisville's going to be playing at Cincinnati. That's going to be a good matchup. That final game can determine who will win the AAC championship. Now, I have some non-conference games that are very important in this AAC conference. On September 7th, Cincinnati's going to be traveling to Illinois to face the Fighting Illini. Now, this is going to be the good warm-up test before each of these teams, the Illinois Fighting Illini as well as the Cincinnati Bearcats. This is going to be a good warm-up before they head to conference play. September 21st, Arkansas is going to be traveling to Rutgers. This is a rebuilding year for Arkansas, and Rutgers is going to be playing against a new head coach, a new offense, and running back Alex Collins. September 14th, UCF is going to be traveling to Penn State to face the Nittany Lions. That's going to be a good non-conference play. And on the 28th, UCF, the next week, the next game for UCF, they're going to be hosting the South Carolina Gamecocks. Back-to-back good non-conference games. And they're actually already challenging themselves this season in college football play. And October 19th, Houston's going to be hosting BYU, a battle of two good defenses. I think this is going to be another good game for you guys to watch. Now, the last thing I'm going to end with this video, I'm going to give you my predictions for the awards at the end of the year, as well as the winner of the inaugural AAC championship. The player of the year, I'm going to have to go with Teddy Bridgewater out of Louisville. I think he's going to have another dominant year. Hopefully, he can finally lead this team to an undefeated year and possibly play for a national championship. Defensive player of the year, I'm going to go with Trevon Stewart out of Houston. I think he's going to have a dominant year, getting behind the line of scrimmage, giving you some tackles for loss, as well as being a good cover player for the secondary. Offensive rookie of the year, I'm going to actually go with Michael Dyer out of Louisville. Yes, he already has the college football experience, but he is just entering the AAC and just coming back. I think he's going to have a good comeback player of the year. If you do not want to count that, I'm going to go with James Quick from Louisville, his teammate. Defensive rookie of the year, I'm going to go with Eric Mays out of South Florida. I think he's going to start right away at defensive end, get some experience, and I think he has the ability to get behind the line of scrimmage and get some sacks. Coach of the year, I'm going to go with Charlie Strong from Louisville. Why? Because I have Louisville as my winner of this year's AAC championship. I think they have a chance of going undefeated. They have a good, favorable schedule to go undefeated, but I don't think it's going to be too good enough for the computers in order for them to make it to the national championship. But we will see. If they do go undefeated, they will definitely play for a BCS bowl game. But I do have Louisville as my winner for this year of the AAC. Now, my sleeper this year, I'm going to actually go with Memphis and go with quarterback Jacob Karam. I think he could be due for a breakout season. He's one of my breakout players, and I think he could actually pull off some upsets for the Tigers. So I'm going to have to go with Memphis as my sleeper this season. Now, the next time I catch you guys is on Monday, where I will give you a preview of the Big 12 Conference. Thank you for watching this blog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.